Hey friends, welcome back to another Where Is. I hope everyone is having an amazing day. Now, of course, I have another case for you guys, but I did just want to come on here and send my condolences to the families of the ones that lost their life at the Astroworld concert. I'm sure most of you have already heard about what happened at Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival that happened on November 5th, but again, my thoughts and my prayers go out to the families as well as anyone who was there that was affected by this event. Now, today I wanted to come on here and talk about a case that I found very interesting because everyone knows the saying vanished into thin air, but with this case, it truly feels like he just completely vanished without a trace. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So, today we will be discussing the disappearance of Patrick Alford Jr. Patrick Kennedy Alford Jr. was born on November 28th in 2002. He lived in Staten Island, New York. Now, his parents were not together at the time, so he was living with his mother Jennifer, along with his 4-year-old sister Jaylene and his newborn baby sister. His mother says that he was smart and funny and was a great brother to his sisters, and he just overall loved being with his family. He also loved bedtime snacks, playing with his cars, playing basketball, and playing with his PlayStation. She says that when Patrick was 7 and when his sister Jaylene was 4, she went through a depression. Now, Jennifer was a young mother when she had both Patrick and Jaylene, and she says that, it was just overwhelming for her, but she did try her best and she made sure that her children had a normal routine of, going to school, going to the park, and just making sure that they were active. Now, Jennifer says that she didn't have the best childhood growing up, so she wanted different for her children. Now, according to court documents, unfortunately, on December 26 in 2009, Jennifer, along with a relative, were arrested for shoplifting while Patrick and Jaylene were there. Again, she was arrested and she was told to call a family member and have them come pick up the children. So Jennifer's mother comes to pick up the kids and she takes them to Brooklyn, New York. Now, the Administration for Children's Services was notified from the State Central Registry that Jennifer was arrested and was also told about her mother picking up the children. So 2 days later, on December 28th in 2009, Child Protective Services was concerned about her mother having custody of her children due to her mother having 11 prior cases against her. Now, Jennifer had gotten out of jail, and later that same day, a worker from CPS went to Jennifer's home to speak with her, and Jennifer admitted to them that she did indeed shoplift. Now, the next day, Jennifer actually called the Administration for Children's Services herself, and she actually requested to be entered into a drug treatment program, and she revealed to them that she had been using PCP in her home, again, according to court documents. Now, according to Jennifer, this was something that was supposed to be temporary. She just wanted to get the help that she needed so that she could be better for her kids. Now, after she made the call to CPS immediately showed up to Jennifer's home, and when they got there, Jennifer was impaired and she couldn't speak correctly and could barely stand up. So again, when CPS got there, Jaylene was actually present in the home, but Patrick was not there at the time. Jennifer told the CPS workers that Patrick was with an aunt, but due to her impaired state, she couldn't tell them which aunt he was with nor the address of the residence. She was also unable to provide a name or information for a relative that Jaylene could go stay with, and due to the circumstances, both children were authorized to be removed from the home. Now, CPS was able to find out where Patrick was, which was at his Aunt Blanca's house. He was safe, but since she did not have legal custody of the children and their father, Alford Sr., they didn't believe that the place that he was staying at the time could accommodate two more children, so CPS did in fact remove the children and they were placed into a foster home in Brooklyn on December 30th in 2009. Now, one thing I will say is that I wish that CPS would have taken the time to place the children with a relative. It seems like they did have quite a few family members around them, but unfortunately they didn't. So, again, the children were placed into foster care. Now, their foster mother's name was Labrada Moran, and she stayed on the 11th floor of the Spring Creek Towers, which is located at 130 Vandalia Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. So, the Spring Creek Towers, also known as Starrett City, is a housing development in Brooklyn, New York. Now, Patrick was not happy about this at all, and understandably. I mean, he's a young boy being taken away from his mother, being placed with a complete stranger, and it's also reported that Labrada, their foster mother, only spoke Spanish, so I can only imagine at 7 and 4 years old how hard this must have been for them because both children only spoke English. It is also reported that Patrick was not acting like himself. His foster mother reported that he would hit himself as well as hitting other children, and during the visit with his mother, he kept trying to leave with his family. Now, his mother, Jennifer, does say that she actually reported to the agency, just how unhappy Patrick was there. I mean, everyone could see it, especially during the visits, again, with his mother. And, as well as the language barrier between the children and the foster mother being an issue. And they told her that they would handle it, but nothing happened, and the children stayed with Labrada, which is just so sad and unfortunate. Now, I know that was quite a bit of background to cover, but I just wanted to make sure you guys understood why the children were in a foster home, so let's get into the actual disappearance. So it was January 22nd in 2010. Again, the children were placed into foster care on December 30th in 2009, and it was 9 p.m. and Patrick and Labrada were doing some chores around the house and they were going to go take the garbage out to the garbage chute, which was located in the hallway of the building that they were staying in, which again was the Spring Creek Towers. So as they are heading out to the garbage chute, the phone rings and Labrada goes to answer the phone, and Patrick continued to proceed down the hall to the garbage chute alone. Now, as he is walking down the hall, his sister Jaylene is watching him at the apartment door, and as he's walking away, he then disappears from her sight. His sister has said that she called out his name, but he did not answer. Now, once Labrada noticed that Patrick was gone, she called the police, and about 30 minutes after she called, police immediately began searching for Patrick, which is always good to say because we know that this does not happen for everyone when someone is reported missing, but again, police began their search for Patrick. Now, one of the first places that police assumed that Patrick could be was at his mother's house. We know that Patrick wanted nothing more than to be back with his mother, so Jennifer was one of the first people that the police had contacted. So Jennifer says that she woke up to a bang at her door on January 23rd, the day after Patrick was reported missing, and she says that a detective was at the door with a flyer that had a picture of Patrick on it, in his hand, and he tells her that he's missing and that they are looking for him. Now, there was a court order placed on Jennifer that she basically had to show proof that Patrick was with her and in her care, but Jennifer stated that Patrick was not with her and that she had absolutely no idea where he could be. Now, unfortunately, Jennifer was arrested, but she was released 2 weeks later after she had passed a polygraph test. His mother, Jennifer, says that she last saw him right before he disappeared when she went on a supervised visit with her Aunt Blanca to see the children. Now, of course, his foster mother, Labrada, was interviewed as well, but police cleared her as a suspect. Police also interviewed family members from all over in places like Florida and Maryland, which led to other family members, unfortunately, pointing the finger at other family members, but there was no proof or evidence of any of his family members taking him. Now, this search was so huge for Patrick. NYPD searched over 9,000 apartments in the area, as well as interviewing over 14,000 people, but there was no sign of Patrick and no one seemed to know where he was. They searched the trash compactor as well to see if Patrick possibly could have fallen in, as well as all of the elevator shafts and rooftops, but there was no sign of Patrick. Now, police dogs were able to track his scent to a bus stop that was right outside of the apartment building, so police decided to question the bus drivers as well as Brooklyn Car Services, but no one seemed to have seen Patrick or recalled him getting onto the bus. They also checked surveillance cameras. They had helicopters, dive teams, but again, there was no sign of Patrick. Police did receive tips here and there of supposed sightings of Patrick, but none of them unfortunately checked out. Now, New York City officials have placed $6 million in trust for Patrick. This money comes from a lawsuit from Patrick's family that was filed against the City of New York and the St. Vincent's Services in October of 2010, where they alleged that the foster care agency had placed Patrick and his sister into a foster home that was unfit when they could have placed them with their Aunt Blanca. Now, according to court documents, the city refused to let relatives of the children take the children in. Again, they settled at $6 million in 2018, and the money will be kept in a trust for Patrick, and a portion of the money will be used to help in the search for him, as well as towards the reward for his safe return home, which is $250,000. There is also another $12,000 reward from Crime Stoppers as well. Again, Patrick was only 7 years old at the time of his disappearance. He is African American and Hispanic and has black hair and brown eyes. At the time of his disappearance, he stood at 4'8" and weighed 65 pounds. He was last seen wearing a red t-shirt, blue jeans, and white Jordan sneakers. Again, his case remains unsolved. However, according to private investigator James Osgood, he did get a lead that Patrick may be in Puerto Rico somewhere and that he was following up on it. Again, if you know anything, please speak up. His mother says that she has hope that he will return and that she's never going to give up on him. Now, unfortunately, after Patrick went missing, his father was shot in the head multiple times in East New York just 2 years after Patrick's disappearance, and people allegedly believed that he had the reward money for Patrick's case, and he is now partially paralyzed, which is just so sad to hear. Now, that is everything as far as the case. Now, I want to know what you guys think. A part of me feels like maybe he did leave on his own accord. I mean, we know that he wanted nothing more than to be back with his family, but I don't believe that he would have just left his sister there unless he planned on leaving and then maybe thought he could come back and get her. I don't know. I definitely believe that someone took him, but I'm torn if he left the apartment on his own and then someone took him, or if he really was just taking out the trash and then someone saw him alone and just took him. But I'm definitely leaning more on the side that he saw an opportunity to leave and he took it. And again, his foster mom stayed in Brooklyn and his mother lived in Staten Island. So maybe somewhere in the process he got lost and someone took him. But it was reported that Patrick was street smart and that if he had to, he could find his way back to his mother's house in Staten Island. So maybe someone just took him in the process. His mother says that Patrick also knew her number as well as her address by heart, so if he wanted to, he definitely would have reached out to her. I just hope that Patrick is alive and well out there somewhere and that we can bring him home together. Again, let me know what you guys think. Just please be respectful to each other and to the family. Well, that is it for me today, you guys. I hope everyone has an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one.